Good afternoon. Welcome to our mental health month in May, and we are talking about PMS, mood, hormones, all that good stuff. I'm going to be laughing because I'm in my kids' pickup line and all the seniors are visiting today to tour their elementary school, and they're looking at me like I'm crazy, like I'm talking to myself. So heads up, I'm going to be all kinds of distracted. Anyways, let's dive into it. So I want to start with progesterone, and it's all of our hormones are important. I was going to say it's one of our most important hormones, but it is such an important hormone that's often overlooked and is often just pushed aside because everyone's so obsessed with estrogen and estrogen dominance and getting rid of estrogen and blaming estrogen on everything. And well, that's a good thing, like to focus in on estrogen. We're missing many pieces of the puzzle. So I want to go through my list of progesterone deficiency and excess. And what I want you to hear is how it also sounds like estrogen deficiency and estrogen excess. It also kind of sounds like testosterone deficiency and testosterone excess. So the key is testing. So progesterone deficiency is linked to PMS, heavy bleeding, clotting, cramping, inability to focus, short-term memory issues, muscle tension, fibromyalgia, water retention, bloating, insomnia, breast tenderness, cystic breast, weight gain, thyroid dysfunction, acne, headaches, migraines, anxiety, irritability, nervousness, moodiness, hot flashes, depression, decreased libido, osteoporosis, amenorrhea, meaning you're not getting your period at all, oligomenorrhea, infrequent periods, spotting, endometriosis, fibroids. So that's if you don't have enough progesterone. Holy cow. Now, doesn't that all sound like estrogen excess? Sometimes testosterone excess? Like when someone has fibroids, heavy bleeding, I'm like, ugh, estrogen, liver, gut, right? But it could also be progesterone deficiency. The estrogen might be fine. All right, now what about progesterone excess? Sleepiness, bloating or constipation, candida, depression, ligament laxity, so persistent back pain, persistent joint pain, like you think, when you're pregnant and like all of a sudden everything falls apart because all your ligaments are like, oh, we don't need to work because we need to get a baby out. Like you go to the chiropractor all the time, but everything still hurts. Could be progesterone excess. Progressive progesterone deficiency symptoms, which is more common with bioidenticals. Loss of HP axis feedback loop coordination leading to progressive HP axis dysregulation problems. Lots of words in there, meaning the brain's just not talking to the body the way it needs to. So, excuse me while I close the gap and pull up to manage the school pickup line. Someone just started out of here. Cool. Awesome. Back to being safe. So progesterone deficiency, progesterone excess. Before you start narrowing in on hormones and going, oh, it must be this, like get a hormone test. While blood isn't the best because it's bound and it's inactive hormones, it might be a great start for you. We also need blood to look at FSH and LH, which are the brain hormones, to tell us how are you functioning? Are you perimenopausal? Are you postmenopausal? Are they too high? Are they too low? We need to know what day of your cycle you're on as well. So when you go get your blood work done and you're getting hormones run, check the date on your calendar, just put it in your phone real quick, something, so that way oh, I was on day 3. And that will help me, that'll help your doctor if they're smart enough to go, oh, okay, here's your phase, here's where everything should be, everything looks great, or nothing looks great, let's fix this. Lots of pictures being taken, awesome, so happy for seniors, excellent. Okay. So when someone comes to me and they say, oh, I have PMS, I have super depression, I get super irritable, even around ovulation that happens a lot, super cranky, I can't manage the kids, and then it starts spilling over into everyday life. Like, of course, number 1, let's do blood work, let's see what's going on. 2, let's make sure it's not thyroid, because like you saw, progesterone deficiency can mimic thyroid issues and vice versa. Let's make sure it's not autoimmune. Let's make sure that our blood sugar is balanced, your gut is balanced, all of that good stuff. So when I did my brain health, functional brain health seminar, my first one, and they gave us our checklist, which I give all of my patients, man, I checked everything off. Like every symptom and every category, and I brought it up to our doc who's at the seminar, and he's like, okay, you need to call this guy. So I called that doc, and he's like, Alison, we could chase every single symptom on here. We could chase serotonin, we could chase dopamine, we could chase GABA, we could chase acetylcholine, but what's really most important is this looks like a progesterone deficiency. And at that time I didn't have enough insurance to cover blood work, so I couldn't get blood work done. But once I started working on my adrenals and my progesterone, a lot of those mood issues cleared up. We used to call it the day 17 basket and then the day 19 basket, and now we don't even need it anymore, but where like my husband would go and get a bottle of wine and like all of my favorite candy, and like, here you go, babe, here's your little dopamine basket. It's really what it should have been called, but we called it the day 19 basket because that's when all of my stuff started kicking in, and now everything's much more smooth, much more connected, and has the support that I can get. Progesterone and estrogen, and of course testosterone, but for women it affects our frontal lobe, and it affects our serotonin directly. So you might be sitting here going, well, Alison, oh my gosh, I struggle with depression, and is defying medication, and I'll be the first one to tell you, like, that's okay. There's lots and lots of things that we can do, but we also have to look at hormones as well. So balancing hormones and figuring out, is it a brain issue, is it a thyroid issue, is it adrenal, or is it ovary, is it perimenopause, is there something else totally going on? So we have to figure that out. So that's why when that doc looked at all of my checklists, like, Alison, you're falling apart, and this was even before my colitis diagnosis and failure. So it was kind of like that beginning of like, wow, my body really is struggling. So progesterone will also, I wrote decrease cortisol. That is not right. So adrenals, so high cortisol will decrease progesterone. Maybe I meant on my notes it went down with cortisol. I apologize, brain fart right there. So if you're too stressed out, we have this thing called pregnenolone steal, where your body makes pregnenolone, which is a hormone, and then that turns into progesterone, and then that turns into cortisol. So if you need more cortisol because you're constantly stressed and wired and tired and going too late and not sleeping well enough and your body is sick, then it's going to steal from progesterone, and then you're left with not enough to keep your body functioning. So stress management, helping the adrenals, is really important. Okay, so we covered testing. Now, what are we going to do about it? So here's my little list of this. So number one, we need to get you on doTERRA's Cleary Calm Roller Blend. You just use it, swipe it hip to hip twice a day. I always say leave it in the bathroom, so when you brush your teeth, do your gagging, your gargling, and your oils, and you're good to go. And as always, I get the hiccups when I do live, so I apologize. So Cleary Calm works on the hypothalamus, the pituitary, the thyroid, the adrenals, and the ovaries. So it resyncs this loop of how our hormones really are in concert with each other, and it's so easy to do. Number two, you can get progesterone. I don't like bioidenticals. The women that I work with who come to me and they're already on bioidenticals usually just tend to feel great and then get worse and worse and worse. So I like to low dose progesterone, maybe a little bit of estradiol, and help and see if that changes things, and it usually does. We don't have to go so far where we're overdosing our bodies and trying to get our numbers to look like men's numbers. There's no reason your testosterone needs to be over 1,000, but that's a different story for a different day. So if you have progesterone deficiency, progesterone will help. Now, if you're on bioidenticals, remember that overdosing progesterone can look like progesterone deficiency. So get your blood work done, get your saliva test done, get your Dutch test done, whatever that looks like. Next thing is we always have to work on the liver, because our liver is our clearance for our hormones. If it's backed up, it's not going to clear our hormones. So we have to focus on the liver, where I like to use Zendocrine essential oil and the Zendocrine herbal complex, because it has things like dandelion root in it and marshmallow and all those things that are going to help support the biotransformation processes. There's 2 types in our liver. The other thing that helps a lot is castor oil packs. So I like to put essential oils right over my liver, like Zendocrine, DDR prime, cilantro, copaiba, frankincense, Slim and Sassy, which is now known as Metapower. I will put all those oils on directly on my skin first, and then put my castor oil pack on for the night. The other thing is that we need to get the inflammation in the brain down. We need to get the immune system of the brain happy and functioning. So things like taking Omegas, the Lifelong Vitality Kit from doTERRA, will change your brain. It's going to reduce inflammation. It's going to support the glial cells. It's going to reduce neurotoxicity, all of those things. Turmeric is also incredibly important. So you can use turmeric essential oil in a capsule. You can take the soft gel, you can put it over your liver and put your castor oil pack on, but I prefer the capsules. The way I like to dose turmeric for the brain especially is until we have digestive distress, which means you take 1, I'm okay. You take 2, I'm okay. You take 3, I'm okay. You take 4, oh my gosh, diarrhea. I don't feel good. I have bloating, cramping. I don't feel good. And go back down to 3. And that's your good dose. And that's where you stay. That's how we know how to do turmeric. And then when it comes to brain health is cutting out gluten. Gluten destroys the brain. It causes autoimmunity. It crosses into the blood-brain barrier. I have done so many seminars. I actually have a going gluten-free program that is free, a free program, a gluten-free program, and it explains all of the science of why gluten attacks our brain, why it causes depression, why it messes with serotonin, dopamine, GABA, acetylcholine, and why everyone should just be off of gluten. So if you want to heal your hormones, get off gluten, get off dairy, take care of your liver. Okay, so that's kind of the progesterone route. Adding things in like Chase tree, also known as Vitex, can be very helpful depending on the person. I use Progestade from Apex. I love Chase tree from MediHerb. Awesome projects. Okay, now when it comes to estrogen, because they have to be in balance, right? And because if you're cycling, it's always high and then low and then high and then low. Like everyone's like, we need to get this down, we need to reduce cortisol, and that's not necessarily true. We need to balance it. Cortisol should be high in the morning and low at night. So if you're trying to get your cortisol down in the morning, you're going to mess up your body, right? So we need to bring everything back into balance. So again, when it comes to estrogen, Claricalm, Zendocrine, LLV, turmeric, all of those will help. But then we have to work on the gut as well. Estrogen it's such a complicated, happy little hormone. Everybody loves to talk about estrogen, but one of the main things about estrogen is that we have the enterohepatic recirculation, which is just a really big long term for the things that go in your gut. If you have leaky gut, if you have the gut disruption of any kind, it will just sneak through the lining of your gut back into your circulation, back to the liver, back to get packaged up, back into the gut, and then we have this liver gut. So hepato is liver, enteric is gut recirculation. So basically your hormones are doing this through your body, and you're like, oh my god, I'm going crazy. It's a crazy maker. So of course we have to seal up the leaky gut. So using the Metapower packets, I think it's the advantage, is really important, because that collagen will help reduce the inflammation, also help you feel better that way. Liver clearance with the Zendocrine, so that way it thins the bile, it helps focus up. Castor oil packs are amazing. Like, see, these are the same things, because we're just bringing the body back into balance. Estrogen also works directly on the frontal lobe and our emotions, and so you're not crazy. Like, this is, and you know, we act like women losing their minds during their periods is just normal, and women are just crazy, and nobody stops to like look at their body and why are you feeling this way, and how do we support this, and how do we get mental support, psycho support with therapy, EMDR, somatic support with body work, Reiki, movement, exercise, chiropractic, Pilates has been a game changer for me as well. All of these things, we got to bridge them together. The reason I love to do gut tests, especially the GI map from Diagnostic Solutions, is because it looks at beta-glucuronidase, which is an enzyme that lives in our gut, and it does lots of amazing things, but one of the problem child things that it does is that it will take the package. So our liver takes everything, puts it in a package. This is really simple terminology. Puts it into the gallbladder. And then when we eat fat, our gallbladder releases the bile with all of the little garbage packaged up so we can get rid of it. And what beta-glucuronidase goes, it looks at these packages, it goes, you know what, let's open this up. So if that enzyme is really high, especially with estrogen, it finds those little estrogen packets and it's like, let's recirculate this. Let's put estrogen back in your system. So when we clean up the gut and we help reduce these things, maybe it's calcium D-glucarate is one of the greatest things. But again, you don't want to take a million supplements, right? We want to get to the root cause of these issues. So whether you take a supplement, you just have to be really careful. Make sure you're getting your testing done. Start low and slow. Don't try to guess. Don't try to overdo it. Don't try to add too many things in at once. And then lastly, testosterone, especially for women, is also really important for our brain health, especially for memory, libido, brain fog, mood, all of it, right? We need all of it. So the best thing to help support testosterone is keeping our blood sugar nice and stable, eating a lot of protein throughout the day, eating consistently throughout the day. For women who are cycling, I think that intermittent fasting is a bad idea because it's messing with your cortisol. Instead of using food for fuel, you're using cortisol for fuel. And what does cortisol do is it suppresses progesterone. It messes with your thyroid. It's a crazy maker. It packs weight on your belly and your thighs. And you're like, I don't understand why I don't feel good. I'm intermittent fasting. Well, it's because of the adrenal issues. And then supporting the adrenals for testosterone as well. You have to get your inflammation down. You have to get your blood sugar balanced before you hit menopause, because as soon as you hit menopause, it's a pause button on your hormones and your state of health. So if you don't feel good and you're like, oh, I'll lose weight later, I'll get my inflammation down later, I'll worry about my arthritis later, what you're actually doing is setting yourself up to live this way for the rest of your life. So get it done now, so that way menopause is an easy transition. You feel better. The last little tips I have as a general hormone thing, when people call me, they're like, Alison, I don't know what to do, but my hormones are a mess. I can't afford testing. I don't know what to do. I say, okay, here's what we're going to do. You're going to get LLV. You're going to take that every single day. You're going to get Clary Calm oil. You're going to rub it hip to hip every single day. You're going to get the Zendocrine Herbal Complex. You're going to take 2 of those a day. You're going to get the doTERRA greens and the doTERRA fiber, and you're going to make yourself a little shake every single day as well, because greens and fiber will help pull out excess hormones that aren't being used. It'll reduce that hepatoenteric recirculation. And that's our mainstay right there. Easy peasies to help balance hormones. And then do that for 90 days, honestly. Your first period after you start doing this work will probably be horrible. And you'll be like, oh my God, Alison's crazy. She doesn't know what she's talking about. I feel the clotting, the cramping, the bleeding is worse. This is the longest period I've ever had. My breast, like everything hurts. Okay, I know. So here, that's your warning. And then your second period should be like, oh, this was easier to handle. Oh, my period went from 7 days to 5 days. And then your third period should be, oh, wow, it's a little bit lighter. I'm not cramping as much. Wow, my back doesn't hurt. Oh, I could handle my kids this month. And then better and better and better and better. Okay, so that is the plan. I will drop the links of grabbing all of the things that you need. I'll put my doTERRA up on there. I'll put my full script hormone protocol up on there so you can grab those supplements as well. And of course, if you are watching this and you would like an initial consultation with me and get your Dutch test at a discount, the Dutch test is the dried urine test that I love for hormones. It's extremely specific, so much better than blood. I don't upcharge for it. So I will put a code in there that you could type in to get a discount on your initial consultation and your Dutch test as well. So if you have any questions, thoughts, comments, please let me know. And I hope you're having a wonderful day, enjoying the sun, enjoying the end of the school year, celebrating just the next steps ahead. So thank you so much for tuning in, and we'll see you next time.